All right, tonight we have the Dynamite Tony Robertson Hunt for Health Night, the first Thursday of the month. We are honored. We are privileged. This guy can hunt anything down, uncover and unmask anything that needs to be uncovered and unmasked. He's amazing with his knowledge base. He's amazing. He's a certified nutritionist, wellness consultant. He and his wife and his family, they're a dynamite team. They're helping people all over the world. He's amazing. And tonight he's going to talk about the mighty egg. So, Tony, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Levon. Yeah, we're talking about an egg and some of the benefits. Now, I was doing some research the other day, and it said an egg is a very economical way, a cheap way to get your proteins and fats and things. I'm thinking, not where I shop. Eggs are not cheap. If I'm buying decent eggs, I'm paying 99 cents per egg, which is ridiculous. And but anyways, so it is what it is. But yes, eggs are very good. And I'm not going to focus just on an egg, but what's in the egg? What can we do with the stuff that's in there? Do we need them? Are they good for us, bad for us, indifferent? Doesn't matter. So let me bring up a little PowerPoint and show you the mighty egg.
All right. Can you share? Are you
Well,
able
you
to
tell me
share?
if you can see it.
Yeah, so go ahead. Yes, that's
All right.
that's good.
Perfect.
Can you
All right.
I'm trying to figure out why I think my share's on or okay. Um I don't see that option anymore. Okay, AI composition. Why are you on there? Um can you expand that slide?
That's about as big as it's full screen on mine.
Okay. This is what I'm seeing. Okay. So I'm trying to figure out why I'm not seeing what you're seeing so that I can make it
Maybe put it on speaker view. So
full.
I'm not
No,
sure.
there's something wrong with the computer. It's the computer.
Uh-huh.
Okay, it's my computer. All right. I don't think I exited my PowerPoint that I had. Share before I started. Share. Okay, hold on. Allow multiple to present. So let's do that. And yes, let me end my slideshow.
Okay.
No, it'll flip back. It'll flip back. It does that every time. Okay, now, Tony, see if you can share.
I am sharing, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, stop share. Stop share. Okay, now. Okay, you're sharing now?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, it's not working. Okay, hold
Okay.
on. Let me say more. And it says,
Okay,
because
so I'll stop sharing on my side for now.
okay, go ahead and share again.
Okay.
Because I got out of my share so you can share.
Okay, can you see
There
anything?
yes, and it's full screen now. Thank you for your patience.
Oh, no, no problem. Not a problem. All right. So let's talk about the mighty egg. Um, there has been a lot of talk about eggs. I mean, people remember back in the day, if you looked at Time magazine, there was this fried egg on the cover. Oh, eggs are bad for you. Then 5 years later, oh no, eggs aren't that bad. 5 years later, eggs are wonderful. 5 years later, oh no, eggs aren't that good. So I think if we just kind of break it down, see where we're at, what's in the egg, why is it good, why is it bad? So if we take a look at this, there you can see you have on the left there, you've got your essential minerals that you get in an egg. And on the right-hand side, you've got your essential vitamins. Now, you got to understand something. When it comes to nutrition, if it says these are essential elements. It means your body cannot make them. So you have to eat them. Okay. So you're not going to get any of these. Your body's not just going to produce the stuff by itself. You've got to put it in your mouth so that it can get down into your body and do what it needs to do. So you can see there you've got all the chromiums and the copper and iron, manganese, phosphorus, potassium, all your fat-soluble vitamins like your D, E, K, and A's that are in there. So very important that we understand that eggs are exceptionally good for us. So let's not be mistaken. All right, and I'm going to dig into a little bit of these and the benefits of some of these nutrients that you can get from eggs. So a lot of people will eat just egg whites. And I don't understand why, because that's just the protein part of the egg. There's nothing else in there. Nothing. Well, I lie. There's a 0.5% phosphorus, and then there's some choline, 20%. But if you look at the whole egg, if you eat the whole egg, you get 26% choline, right? So if you ever go eat out somewhere and somebody is ordering, let's say you're at a breakfast place and somebody orders just the egg whites, well, just tell that waitress or that server to bring the egg yolks and put them on your plate. That way you can get more nutrition, because most of the nutrition, probably 95%, 98% of the nutrition is in the egg yolk. It's not in the white. The white is the protein. So there's nothing wrong with eating the egg white if you want protein. Yes, I'll get it. Not a problem. But you're missing out on a whole lot of different nutrients. So eat the entire egg. And if you do go eat at a breakfast place, well, this is me. I never eat omelets and I never go for the scrambled eggs, because that stuff comes out of a box. Or maybe in this case, in a restaurant, it comes out of a big, 5-gallon bucket. So I'm not going to be eating that stuff. I'll have a fried egg or a boiled egg or a poached egg, anything that they have to actually crack the shell to get the egg into the pan. That's the way I do it. Then I know I'm getting a good old-fashioned egg that I don't have to worry about. All right. Benefits of eating eggs daily. And there's a bunch of them there. Number one, high protein. It's one of the greatest sources of protein. You're getting about 6 grams of protein per egg, which is not bad. If you compare that to the Neolife shake, that has 18 grams of protein. So you're getting a third of a shake just from one egg, which is awesome, right? And you need that protein. You have to build those muscles, and you have to keep the muscles strong, the ones that you do have. You have to keep them strong. But at the same time, you want to be adding more muscle onto your body, because you need that muscle to do everything. And eggs are also good for the heart. See, it boosts good cholesterol. Now, I hate it when these people say good cholesterol. I didn't make this slide. I stole this from somebody else on the worldwide interweb. When it comes to cholesterol, you don't get good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. You only get cholesterol. It's neither good nor bad. It's just there. It's just a molecule floating around in your system that does various things. Okay? So eggs are going to boost your cholesterol levels. That's what you need to know. And you want to boost your cholesterol levels. You absolutely want to, because you need it for the brain, you need it for your hormones, your sex hormones, everything runs on cholesterol, essentially. It's in every cell in your body, in the cell membrane. It's in the wall of that cell. So you've got to have it in there. And then the choline that's in there is good for the brain. And I know some people need to eat more eggs than others because it boosts the brain and enhances the memory and focus. So yes, focus on eating more eggs on a regular basis. When I say regular, probably 6 out of 7 days minimum. All right. And then it's packed full of your vitamins, your B's, your D's, and more choline. It's good for the weight control. It's low in calories. And again, I'm not too fussed about the number of calories that are in food. All right. I've always maintained, don't count your calories, rather make your calories count. If you're going to get 100 calories from a piece of chocolate cake versus from egg, get it from the egg. The chocolate cake is not going to help you. Even though the calories are the same, the chocolate cake is not good for you. So you don't have to watch your calories. You've got to watch what you eat. Where are those calories coming from? And eggs are a great source of just 70 calories, but loaded with fats and proteins and all that sort of thing. All right, steady energy is going to give you the fat that's in there, and the protein that's in there is going to keep you going through the day. The budget-friendly one, we touched on that a while ago. Yes, it's a high-quality protein or high-quality form of getting the protein, but where I live, like I say, it's $1 per egg. So you've got to make up your mind what you want to do with it. It also helps with your vision and memory, and again, brain focus, all that sort of stuff. Memory for brain fog, all that kind of stuff. So the oils that are in eggs is very good for us. You got your A, D, E, and K vitamins, which are fat soluble. So you have to have fat in your diet for those to actually be absorbed and work properly. All right. And it also helps with your immunity, or keep your immune system up and running, and supports pregnancy, baby's brain, and mom's health, all at the same time. Eggs are a fantastic form of food. It's almost a complete food, if you will. The only thing missing out of an egg really is vitamin C. But if you eat a diet that is extremely low in carbohydrates, or even just no carbohydrates, your need for vitamin C goes way, way, way down, because the vitamin C and the glucose compete for the same receptor. So if you cut out your forms of glucose, then your vitamin C can get to where it needs to be, and you don't need so much of it to try and compete with the glucose that's coming from all the carbohydrates and the sugars and the Krispy Kreme donuts and all those things. All right. So if you are going to go to a breakfast place, don't have the pancakes, have the bacon and egg with a hamburger patty or something like that, because that way you're going to get your eggs and all the value from your eggs. All right. So let's go through some of the ingredients that are in an egg and the benefits of those. Excuse me. Vitamin A. I think most people know that vitamin A is good for the eyes. All right. There's a joke. You get vitamin A in the form of beta carotene in carrots. And I used to joke with my kids that carrots are very good for you. All right. They're very good for your eyes. And they say, well, yeah, sure. Is it, Dad? I said, yes. Have you ever seen a rabbit wearing glasses? No. Right? Because they eat their carrots. So vitamin A is very good for the immune response as well. And in today's age, we have to keep our immune system strong and able to react to what's going on in our bodies. And then for embryonic growth, vitamin A crucial. If somebody, a friend of yours or grandchild or a daughter or whatever it might be, daughter-in-law, if they're pregnant, eggs are going to be wonderful for them. That little baby needs as much of these oils that it can get to help it grow. Along with, same with omega-3. Omega-3, fantastic for brain health. All right, vitamin D, again, immune system, there, point number 3. We have to keep our immune system strong. And vitamin D isn't just for the immune system, also helps with bone health. It keeps your muscles and your brain cells working, and we have to keep those brain cells working, folks. Otherwise, we'll end up. No, I'm not going to go down that road. I was going to go into politics, but let's not do that. All right. And then vitamin D also maintains calcium and phosphorus levels, and we have to keep those levels where they need to be, because everything in your body needs to be in equilibrium. There needs to be a certain amount of A to work with B to create C. All right. And if you're going to build all sorts of stuff, if you're going to build digestive enzymes, you're going to make sure you have your amino acids. All right. So we have to make sure everything is there that our bodies need. These bodies aren't complicated from the outside. All we have to do is just put food in there. But on the inside, they're very complicated, and they need certain ingredients to create life and keep us strong and healthy. Vitamin E, again, is an antioxidant. It's going to help kill off some of the stuff that shouldn't be in our system. Good for the heart, we all know that. And vitamin E widens your blood vessels. So if you're making your blood vessels a little bit wider, it means you can have an easier flow of blood through there. Blood pressure is going to drop, all that sort of stuff. You're going to get more oxygen to the brain because you're getting more blood flow. All right. Vitamin E helps the body use vitamin K, which is also super important. and again, vitamin E for the immune system. So far, 3 things in an egg are good for the immune system. So how important is it to eat your eggs if you want to stay strong and healthy? Super important. And then vitamin K, very good for blood coagulation, which is a good thing. All right, we're not talking about causing blood clots, we're talking about your blood clotting, which is a little bit different. So if you cut yourself, you want that blood to stop flowing eventually. And if you have enough vitamin K in your diet, that blood will thicken and it'll stop bleeding, and you're not going to lose gallons and gallons of blood. My paternal grandfather was a hemophiliac, a bleeder, for those that don't know. And he, as long as I can remember, this man had bruises all over his body. You know, if he just walked into the table and bumped his hip on it, there would be a bruise there for days on end. And he would bruise very, very easily. He did not have that clotting factor in his blood. So it was very, very careful. He had to be very careful in what he did. I mean, if he cut himself, big problems, big problems. So we want to make sure that our blood is able to clot when it needs to. And then vitamin K, very good for the bone metabolism. We want to keep our bones growing and keep them strong and healthy. The last thing we want to do as we get older is to break a hip and then fall down and we can't get up, and you have to push a little button that says, help, I've fallen and I can't get up. Right? We have to keep the bones strong. We have to keep them healthy. Vitamin K for cognitive function. Again, the brain. We don't want just a strong body. We want a strong brain as well. I spoke to my grandmother about 2 years ago. It was her birthday. And I said, she turned, how old was she? She was 97. She just turned 99 3 weeks ago. And I said, Gran, how are you doing? She says, you know what, Tony, from the neck up, I'm doing great. But from the neck down, not so great. So she still had her cognitive function going. And then vitamin K for heart health. Again, keep the heart going. The heart has to pump all that blood through your body to get the nutrients around your body to where they need to be. So very, very important. This one, all the Bs, there's what, 2, 4, 5 out of the 8. The B5 for energy production. If you feel like your battery is running low, you got to get some B5 into your diet. An egg is a great way to do it. B6 for the amino acid metabolism, which means breaking down amino acids. Where do amino acids come from? Protein, right? So when you eat an egg with the egg whites, or you eat a piece of meat of some sorts, that protein structure needs to get broken down. And then those amino acids need to then get absorbed and used to do all sorts of different things. Whatever it is, build the different parts of your body and keep you going, rebuild you. B6 also good for the neurotransmitter health. You want to keep signals going properly in your brain. You know, you want to keep that thing firing and getting those signals received. B7 for hair growth. So if you're balding, you're losing hair at a rapid rate, check your vitamin B levels. How many eggs are you eating per day? Are you eating any eggs at all? All right. Make sure you get your B7. B7 also helps you to carbohydrates, your fat, and your amino acid metabolism. So it's going to help break down any carbs that come in, any fats that come in, and your proteins. So B7, very good for helping to digest those things and get them processed through the system. And then B9 is for cell division. You know, we've all, I don't know, many years ago, back at school, we learned when how babies grow. From when they just that one cell and little sperm enters that egg, you see that little cell break into 2, and then it breaks into 4, and then 8, and so it starts growing and growing and growing. And that's what that cell division is. Now, it's not just for babies growing, but your body, right? That cell has to divide into 2 and make more and more and more skin cells to keep your skin looking strong and healthy. And then B9 is also good for the DNA synthesis. Got to keep the DNA going. That's your programming. We don't want things going wrong there. When something goes wrong with your DNA, we have problems. All right. B12 makes blood cells, and you want to make sure you got enough of those. It repairs damaged DNA, and it also helps to make new cells. So super important to get all those Bs in there. Choline, brain health. Number one, we have to keep that brain functioning. I see so many people today at younger and younger age that are just their brain's just not firing on all cylinders. All right, it's like they're a couple of beers short of a six-pack upstairs. Right, the elevator doesn't go all the way to the top, and they are missing just a few key ingredients to keep that brain healthy. And then choline is also very good for fatty liver control. We don't want too much fat building up in our liver because then you get fatty liver disease, and then everything just goes wrong from there. And then it also helps with digestion, help to break down your food and get that processed and get it where it needs to be throughout the body. Phospholipids, those are fats, and in every cell membrane in your body, we've all learned about TRNN and the oils that are in there, the lipids and the sterols that keep that cell membrane healthy. Well, you also have the phospholipids, the fats that come from eggs, and there's cholesterol in there as well. So that whole structure of that cell needs fat in it, and if it doesn't have fat in there, we are going to have a cell that is not going to function properly. So we have to get those fats in there. Also help prevent fat buildup in the liver. Again, not a problem that you want to have. Fatty liver disease, it's not pleasant. And then they also transport cholesterol to the different cells throughout your body. There has to be a mechanism to get cholesterol to where it needs to be. And the phospholipids, along with your HDL and your LDL, your low density lipoproteins, and your HDL, your high, and your LDL, your low. That gets cholesterol moving throughout your body to where it needs to be. But we need to have the fats to be able to do that. And then hormone signaling. We're going to make sure that those hormones are actually communicating. All right? If the hormones aren't talking to each other, you are going to fall apart. End of story. End of story. Your get up and go will have got up and left. You have no desire to do anything. So keep the eggs going. And then we also have in the old egg, we have omega-3s. And we all know how important. We see it everywhere. It's advertised everywhere for heart health. Omega-3 for heart health, super important. And omega-3s are an excellent anti-inflammatory agent. If you have any sort of inflammation going on, if you go for blood work and it comes back and it says that your C-reactive protein is high, that's telling you your body is inflamed. And it's inflamed because there's something wrong. You're breathing in toxins, you're eating toxins, something's going on. You're not getting the right balance of nutrients, and your body is reacting. And salmon oil, at least omega-3s, are very good as an anti-inflammatory. And omega-3s for skin health, we all want that good-looking skin. We go to plastic surgeons and all these sort of things. We want to maintain our youth. Well, we can't. We are going to get old, but we want to get old gracefully. We want to look good, and we want to feel good. Omega-3, fantastic. And then for brain health, brain development, and that comes back to brain development in young kids, in the fetus, moms that are pregnant. Omega-3s are crucial to help that baby and that young child get their brain developed properly. And I think if we look at some of our youth today, they've been missing some omega-3s for sure. They need to eat more eggs for breakfast and less Pop-Tarts. All right, some of the minerals we're going to find in there. Calcium. Calcium we know is good for bones and teeth. It's the hardest things in our bodies. Our teeth are the hardest. If we don't have calcium, we will be like a bag of jello, all right? A little blob of jelly just sitting there shaking around. So we've got to get the calcium in, keep the bones and the teeth strong and healthy. Calcium for muscle function. You need certain minerals for your muscles to contract and relax and do what they need to do. So get your calcium from eggs, get it from some dairy if you can do dairy. There's great food sources to get calcium as well. Calcium is good for nerve transmission. Again, we have to keep those nerves firing and being able to receive those signals so that if your brain tells you to lift your arm, you should be able to lift your arm because that signal went down to those muscles to tell it to lift. All right. So we have to keep that strong and healthy. And then calcium also helps with blood clotting as well. Zinc has a a whole slew of benefits. One of them being the immune system. We all learned 5 years ago when this bug was flying around everywhere, everybody jumped on the zinc bandwagon. Why? Because they know it works. Zinc is going to build your immune system. If you have, what's the word I'm looking for? Bacteria. What's the other one? The viruses. All right. What zinc will do is it will sterilize that bug so that it can't reproduce. And in that way, that bug's just going to die off. So make sure to get your zinc. Make sure to get it from your eggs, plus a few other sources, but we're talking about eggs tonight. So eggs are a wonderful thing to get your zinc. It's going to help with wound healing. And if you've ever had a scratch or a cut that just takes forever to heal, you've got to ask yourself why. What's wrong? What's missing? Is there something wrong with my body? Is my immune system not strong enough? Why is this thing not working? And add zinc into your diet. You're going to be amazed at what zinc is going to do. And then fertility. I know a thing or two about not enough zinc. All right. I've got a fantastic story about that, which most of you know. If you don't, we could talk about it another time. But zinc, fantastic for fertility. Zinc is going to make that little sperm super strong and super healthy. So it can swim and get all the way to that little egg and fertilize that egg. And next thing you know, voila. I actually saw a video of the importance of zinc when it comes to fertility. They showed under a microscope the egg that had like this zinc lining around it. The minute that little sperm hit that egg, there was literally a spark. And if that zinc wasn't there, that spark wouldn't have happened and life wouldn't have started. So, Big Bang Theory, how's that working? All right, zinc for healthy eyes and skin, and then iron. And I think a lot of people don't realize how important iron is. So, make sure you're getting enough iron in your diet. Eat the eggs because iron's going to help with energy creation along with all those vitamin Bs. And iron is very good for your cognitive health. Again, we're back to the brain. We have to keep that brain working properly. Immune support. And then for your skin and your hair and your nails. Ladies, if you want nice, strong nails, make sure you have enough iron in your diet. Shiny hair, gorgeous skin, all these things. So iron, very important for that. And it's also for healthy pregnancies. You know, we've touched on pregnancies, 3 or 4 times now this evening already. So it's important to get all these nutrients in your body so that your body can do what it needs to do. And then iron for hemoglobin, which is your oxygen carrier. If you don't have enough iron in your diet, you cannot get enough oxygen moving throughout your body. So brain fog, again, if you're just kind of tired and you just feel somebody's just unplugged you, you know, all you want to do is just sit, check your iron levels. Maybe your iron levels aren't high enough. But again, it's all in the egg. Have eggs for breakfast. All right. If you can't do eggs or you don't want to do eggs because you just don't want to do eggs, we have a fantastic way to get around that. And Neolife has come up with a bunch of different things that will have your A, your B, your D, your E, your calcium, iron, zinc, all those that we need. And the vitamin A that we have is derived solely from pollock, right? Because that yields the highest quality natural vitamin A. And it's water miscible, which means it's going to get into your bloodstream real easy and get absorbed real easy as well. The B contains all 8 of the family of the dietary essential Bs that you need. So a super B, multivitamin, B complex, as some people call it, has everything that you need in it. And then the D, the vegan D, it's a blend of 2 different food-based vitamin D ingredients, gives you the highest potency and bioavailability. And bioavailability is important because if it's not available inside your body to get used, then what's the point? So make sure you can get it bioavailable. And I don't know of very many companies that can do that. And we have the D3 and the D2, as you see there. And then the vitamin E, again, it has the entire family of the E's, the tocopherols and the tocotrienols, and it all comes from just natural food sources. And then finally, the minerals. The CalMag is a double amino acid chelated because it's going to help for dissolution. Now, dissolution doesn't mean dissolving. You can drop it in a glass of water, that's just called dissolve. But dissolution, if it gets into your body and it can spread throughout your body because it's broken down like it needs to be. All right. And the amino acid chelation is going to help with that. It's going to avoid all the negative charges or positive charges in your body. And that calcium is going to get broken down and get absorbed where it needs to be. And then the endurance, the sport endurance, that is where you're going to get your iron. And this comes from desiccated liver from grass-fed cows, all the way from Brazil, where they still grow them like they should. You're going to get, I think it's 1,000 milligrams, which is 1 gram. 1 gram of liver. And it's loaded with some Bs and iron. The omega-3, 100% wild caught, and it's, again, delivers all 8 of the complete family members of your omegas. And this is what I love about Neolife. You know, they've got everything that they need, just like in nature. You know, God put it out there for us for a reason. Let's use it. Let's get it into our bodies and let's use it. And then zinc, again, the unique chelation process improves the absorption in the body. The amount of zinc that your body will absorb from food is 10 to 15%, somewhere around there. All right, so you're going to eat a lot of zinc containing foods to get a lot of zinc into your system. But if you take the Neolife zinc, that ratio goes up to about a 90%, 90 to 95% absorption at cell level, which is exactly what you want. All right, so there's your choices. You can eat eggs or you can just pop pills the whole day. Now, I do both. All right, I do both. I want more. And there's only so many eggs I can eat before I can't eat anymore. So I'll have my breakfast. I'll have my 5 or 6 eggs, whether fried or scrambled, doesn't matter. And then from there, I'm going to go to the pantry, get my little pill box out, pop myself some of my supplements, just to make sure that I'm keeping myself topped up. All right. And again, the problem with today's food is that it's not as nutritious as what it used to be because of the farming practices, the way they do it these days. So I always recommend to folks, I don't care how good your diet is, I still believe we need a supplement. And this is a fantastic way to do it. Neolife has got the best products on the market. I haven't seen anybody else that comes close to what we have to offer. So if you're not getting enough eggs in your diet, start. And if you don't like eggs, well, start getting onto some supplements as well, because you are going to need those. So Lavon, that brings us to the end of that. But what I do want to do real quick is also just give you a couple of these symptoms of deficiencies of just the B vitamins. All right, not the whole egg, just the Bs. So if you're missing a B6, you're going to have things like dermatitis, which is a skin problem. Mental depression. How many people we don't these days that are just down in the dumps? All right. Confusion, convulsions, anemia. That's just from B6 alone. B9, you're going to have impaired formation of red blood cells, weakness, irritability, headaches, inflammation of the mouth area. So neural tube defects in the fetus. So again, folic acid, B9, super important. B12 for GI disturbances, gastrointestinal tract disturbances, your nervous system. All of these rely on the Bs. And then B7, again, dermatitis, skin problem, hair loss, conjunctivitis, gum disease, and then neurological symptoms. You know, so those are the things that can go wrong if you don't eat enough eggs, bottom line. So we need to make sure that we're eating more than what we think we need. All right, you have to go do the calculation. How much do I need? And then eat according to that. So with all that being said, are there any concerns about eggs? Anybody have a problem that they would like to discuss?
Yes,
Or
could address people who are allergic to eggs. I just had somebody at my house. They just had a terrible skin issue, went to the doctor, took an allergy test. Eggs were on the top of her list.
All right, I learned somewhere the other day or a while back. People that are allergic to eggs, I think they said it was the albumin that's in the protein. And they reckon if you boil that egg or cook it, that gets rid of the bulk of that albumin problem. And people tend to be able to tolerate those eggs a lot easier. So you can try that, or what you can do is crack the egg open and separate the white and the yolk like you do when you're baking. And then just fry up just the egg yolks. All right? Because people have allergies to the proteins. Now, again, depending on how sensitive a person is, yes, there's still a little bit of that egg white, that's on the yolk. And they might still have a reaction. But if if they're not super sensitive, then they should be okay with that. All right. So that's something I would try, is to separate the yolk from the white and see if you can do that. Maybe add a little bit of cream to those egg yolks and beat them up and then scramble them and see how that goes. And that's why I also wanted to add in all the different nutrients or the supplements, at least, that Neolife offers, because yes, some people just don't like eggs. Some people are allergic to them. I know my mother is not a big egg fan. One of Austin's friends, my son's friends, not a big egg fan, so he doesn't do a lot of eggs. So they're missing out on quite a few nutrients just from that egg alone. Can you get them somewhere else? Yes, you can get them from other foods. But an egg is a great way to get a lot of it in one little egg. But for those that just aren't going to do eggs for whatever reason, the supplements are going to be ideal to replace some of those lost nutrients from the eggs. So that's what I would suggest. Separate the eggs, add some nutrients, some supplements, and see how that goes. Hope that helps.
Go ahead.
All right.
Wade's got a question.
Is there any danger to taking an egg and mix it into your shake?
No. There's all this salmonella stuff, blah, 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 blah. But the American eggs are so flippin' sterilized, it's not funny. No, you should be just fine. In fact, the more raw food we eat, the better. So, next time you whip that steak out to go grill it, don't grill it, just eat it raw. I'm not going to do it. Sorry, I'm not eating it raw. I'll turn it into jerky and then eat it like that, sure. But no, you should be fine adding eggs into your shake. Not a problem. Then if you're worried about it, boil it up and put it in the blender and mix it up in your shake. I don't know how fine it'll break up, but it might. So, America, for I don't know what reason, I'm guessing, people don't like to see egg, what's the word I'm looking for? When a chicken lays an egg, obviously that rear end needs a little bit of lubrication to get that egg out of there. And a feather or two might get stuck on there. And nobody wants to go to the store and buy an egg that's got this feather stuck on it. But in South Africa, Levon, I don't know if you noticed when you were there, if you were in any of the stores, if you go look for eggs, you don't find them over in the fridge department. You find them on the shelf next to the bread. It's because they don't wash the eggs when they come from the chicken. They just pick up the eggs, put them in a box, and they can sit on your shelf there for, I don't know, a week or two. I don't care. In South Africa, nobody puts their eggs in the fridge. But in America, eggs are in the fridge. It's because they've been washed. And they've taken off that protective layer on that eggshell. So now we've got to keep them in the fridge so they don't go bad. So if you're ever somewhere outside of America and you see eggs on the shelf, don't panic. You're going to be just fine. All right. Any other questions, comments?
Yes, Deborah had a question.
No, yeah, I was just wanting to say, Tony, thank you for posting all the other ways that we can get what we get from eggs too. Cause I remember, that I was shocked when I sat down with Diane Clayton one time when we were able to sit and chit chat with the scientists. And me asking those questions about what if you're allergic to eggs and milk and fish and all those things, and she had shared with me because of Neolife's extraction process, that they only extract the nutrient, and a lot of people are allergic to the protein. So, you know, and we're missing out on so much more, and I just thank you for sharing that, you know, about the A and the B's and the E's and all that. And that's a really
Yeah, no, I don't think people realize just how much value is in an egg.
Oh, yeah. I was
You know.
shocked.
Yeah,
In everything.
yeah. No, there's plenty of value in there for sure.
I think.
So yeah, eat your eggs, peeps. Fry them up in some butter. Scramble them up in some butter. All right. And did your hand just go up, or are you swatting a fly?
I have a question. How long do eggs last in the fridge? I heard that they can last quite some time.
You know what? I don't know how long they last. In my house, not very long. So, but I'm sure if they're in the fridge, they can go easily for a few weeks. Yeah. And you know, the thing is, like I said, in South Africa, they don't wash the eggs. In America, they wash the protective coating off. But I think, I'm trying to remember what oil it is. I'm not sure if it's, could have been castor oil. I reckon if you want to keep your eggs on the shelf here in America, just take your eggs and drop them in some oil or coat them with, I think it was castor oil, because that then seals up that egg again. And the oxygen and stuff can't get through into the egg.
Okay.
And then you don't have to keep them in the fridge. I might be mistaken in the oil. So if you want to do something like that, just, you know, jump on Google and say, how to not store my eggs in the fridge. Somebody will be able to tell you.
Thank
All
you.
right. Yeah. But like I say, we buy a lot of eggs. You know, we buy a crate of 60 eggs, and 3 days later, I'm back at the store buying another 60 eggs.
So it doesn't affect the cholesterol?
It
No.
does. It makes it better. Yeah.
Oh, it improves the cholesterol.
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
It's gonna raise your HDL cholesterol, which is fantastic. The higher you can get that, the better. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I was saying earlier, cholesterol isn't something that we need to be scared of. We actually need to be desperate to get cholesterol because our body requires so much of it. So we have to get cholesterol into our system. Your liver makes 80% of it, 85% of it.
Okay.
The rest we have to eat to get our daily requirement of cholesterol. And can you eat too much cholesterol to cause problems? Essentially, no. You can eat too much in terms of your daily requirement, but whatever's excess just gets recycled and becomes bile and goes down the toilet. And it's not going to sit and clog your arteries. All right. It's the size of the particles of that cholesterol, of the LDL. That's what you need to worry about with cholesterol, not the fact that there's cholesterol. You need to look at the size of that little particle that's carrying the cholesterol. All right. So is it a little mini school bus or is it a big school bus with the children inside? The children are the cholesterol. Okay. And there's no bad child. So there's no bad cholesterol. But is it a small bus or a big bus? You want the big bus carrying the kids. All right. Because that big bus is not going to fall down a little manhole in the street. But the little bitty bus is going to fall down that manhole in the street. It's going to get a wheel in there. It's going to get stuck and it's going to jam up the traffic. That's exactly what happens with cholesterol. If your LDL particles are small, they're going to get stuck on your artery walls and they're going to start causing traffic jams. But if they're big cholesterol pieces, they're just going to bounce right over that obstruction in your arteries and just keep going. So that's why I say there's no good or bad cholesterol. It's indifferent. It's a fat in your system. But we need to make sure that the carrier of that fat is large, not small. All right. It's like comparing a little BB to a golf ball. All right. That little BB is going to get stuck. Golf ball is not going to get stuck. So
Our motto is to stick with large and in charge, fluffy, not stuffy.
where did you learn that, Deborah?
I just thought of it as you were sharing it.
That is awesome. Large and in charge, fluffy and not stuffy. Yeah. You want large, fluffy LDL. That's what you want.
And why do they say that it's your LDL is evil?
Because that's the one. This is being recorded? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
That's the one that they can make a lot. There's money in controlling LDL, statin drugs. And we're talking, I don't know, $5 billion a year just in statin drugs alone. All right. There isn't really a drug that can do anything to your HDL. So they don't target that one. But for a healthy person that's on a statin drug that gets all the side effects, they gain about 1 day of extra life. That's worth it. One day extra of life for all those side effects. Muscle cramps, dementia, diabetes, you name it, bone loss. So, but that's one reason, okay? But the reason they're blaming LDL is because they may have found LDL particles clogging up arteries. But like I said, the reason is that the LDL clogs the arteries is because they are small particles. They are little bitty particles. And if there's any sort of a crack or a tear inside your arteries, that little bitty particle is going to get stuck in there. And it's going to start causing a problem. Now, the reason they're small is because we aren't eating enough fat in our diet, and we are eating too much carbohydrates. That's what causes those small particles. So if you can cut out your carbohydrate sources, your bread, your cookies, crackers, the carbohydrates from a few vegetables, I'm not panicking about those. Especially the refined carbohydrates is a major problem. So anything that's been baked is a refined carbohydrate, okay? Simple. A potato is a carbohydrate, but it's not refined. A piece of chocolate cake is a carbohydrate, but it has been refined. The flour. All right? Even corn flour, that's refined. It's been broken down, it's been altered and stripped of its nutrients. So cutting down on those sort of foods and increasing your butter intake is going to change that whole relationship between your triglycerides and your LDL and your HDL. The more fat you eat, the higher your HDL goes. I had my blood work done the other day. My HDL was, what was it, 74. It's not bad. It's not bad. My LDL was, I forget the number. It was like 121. But I wasn't concerned about that because I want to know what's the size of the particles of those LDL particles. But unfortunately, the lady that drew my blood, she did something wrong and she punctured all the blood cells and they couldn't get a decent reading on my particle size. So I need to go for another blood draw because I want to see what my particle size is. I don't care what my LDL number is. I care about the size of the LDL particles. That's the important thing to remember. And you want big ones. Pardon?
What is that test called?
NMR, the nuclear magnetic resonance, an NMR lipid profile.
Oh, thank you. That's good to know.
Nuclear what?
Magnetic resonance. And it's not a standard lipid test. I mean, your standard panel just comes back HDL, triglycerides, LDL, total cholesterol, blah, blah, blah. All right. You need to know how big are those LDL particles. The bigger, the better. Simple as that. The bigger, the better. For example, if you take a jam jar, a console jar, what do you call them? You know, when you make all your different jams and jellies and things, those console jars. Say that again?
Mason jar.
Mason jars. There we go. I knew somebody out there is smart. If you take 2 of those mason jars, equal size, and you fill one with little BB pellets, and you fill the other one with golf balls, they're both going to be full, right? So they're going to have the same volume of stuff inside them. Not so. They both got a pint of golf balls and a pint of little BB pellets. So your LDL number is going to be, let's say, 120, because that's what they measured, 120. But how big are the particles inside there that makes up that 120? That's what we want to know.
And what would that be on your lab result?
Depends who did the lab results. They got a slightly, I think 2 or 3 different places have different scales. So, and when you get your results, it'll show you where it is on the scale. It'll show you the particle size and number. So whoever's going to do the test will give you the results and the desired range of where it should be. But cholesterol is nothing to be scared of. Not at all. The problem is we don't get enough of it in our diets.
So much,
And
Tony.
eggs are a great way to do it. Great way.
Absolutely. It's like a power food.
It is. So we all know about the PDC, what? PDCAAS, protein digestibility.
Amino acid, corrective amino acid.
That one. Okay. How do they get that that score? Well, how do they test it? Levon, I think you might know.
I do.
Do you want to share with the folks?
Like fluffy, not stuffy?
It is measured by the perfect protein called an egg.
Yep. They look at an egg and the amount of the different forms of the protein and the nutrients in there compared to what your body needs. All right. So if you're making a protein shake and it matches what an egg can provide, then you're equal. You're 1 to 1. So you get a protein score of 1. Now, if you can provide more than that, like we do, you get a 1.37. All right, which is way up there. So you're providing more than what an egg provides. But yeah, they use the egg as the standard to test your protein digestibility, corrected amino acid score. So eggs are phenomenal. So there's a farmer, Hickman Farms, out this side of the country. 95% of their chickens that supply eggs to Arizona have been slaughtered because of bird flu. If eggs are so good for us, and now they're killing off 95% of our egg supply to Arizona, come on, people, put 2 and 2 together. For all you conspiracy theorists out there,
Yeah, purposely doing it.
it's sad. It's sad that we're going down this road. So yeah, if you can find a friend that's got chickens or know somebody where you can get chickens straight from the farm, support those folks. 100% support those folks. All right. We have to get as much good old-fashioned food as we can. And then still supplement with a few extra things. Because even the bugs that the ants are eating aren't as healthy as what they used to be.
So true.
It's a sad state of affairs, folks.
Absolutely. So Tony, we had quite a few people that came in toward the end. I'm going to post this on my YouTube channel so you can actually view the beginning because it was fantastic. He put together all of these slides to give you a detailed what God put in an egg, a superfood, and why we need it, what happens when you're deficient in it, and why eggs, well, it used to be an affordable superfood, but because of powers that be, have arranged for there to be a scarcity,
Yeah.
scarcity, which we all know there should never be a scarcity for eggs and chickens. It's funny because I'll drive through a subdivision now and I'll see dozens of houses in a subdivision with chickens and cages for their chickens. 10 years ago, you wouldn't see that. Now I'm seeing it in even the nice exclusive subdivisions, I'm seeing people with chickens.
Yeah.
Go figure why.
You know, here's a question from Nancy. Do we need organic eggs? And this just drives me a little bit batty. The definition of organic versus free range versus all natural. You know, if you buy an egg, the carton says all natural. Well, I hope they're not putting artificial eggs in that carton. All right. So yes, the egg is natural. Of course, it's natural. All right. Just where did it come from? You know, what was the chicken's diet like? So you get cage-free eggs get access to 1 square foot of outdoor space. That doesn't mean they go there. They just get access to it. Free-range chickens get 2 square feet that they get access to. That's free range. 2 square feet. All right. So what you want is pasture raised chickens that are running around in the pastures out there, running around, just doing their chicken thing. Now, there's a brand out there that sells pasture raised chickens, and then right next to it, they have pasture raised organic. So what's the difference? Sorry, the box. The pasture raised it's running wild out on the guy's farm. The pasture raised organic, they're out there on the farm, but their diet is being supplemented with non-GMO organic corn. So those chickens are being fed. Whereas just the regular pasture range are running out there on their own, doing their own thing. So, yeah, do we need to buy organic? I guess organic is better than free range. Free range is better than cage free. Pasture raised, to me, is still optimal. So from the top, pasture raised, organic, free range, cage free. But if you can't afford to pay $1 per egg, just buy the best that you can, right? Buy the best that you can, the best that you can afford, because you're still better off eating a cage-free egg than you are eating a slice of toast with peanut butter on it. Way better, way better. That egg might not be as nutritious as the pasture raised, but it's not poisonous. It's not going to kill you, right? So just do the best that you can afford. That's what I tell people all the time. All right. There was a lady that was sick and dying. This isn't about eggs. She was 25 years old, overweight, couldn't fall pregnant, boils everywhere, skin looked horrible. And eventually, her doctor put her on all sorts of plans and diets and changes, medications here, there, and everywhere. And this was an elderly doctor. And he eventually said to her, he says, I think her name is Kelly. Kelly. He said, Kelly, the best thing you can do now is go on a carnivore diet. She says, what do you mean? He says, just eat meat. Now, she didn't have a lot of money. She couldn't go buy a prime rib, okay, or ribeye steaks, organic, grass-fed, pasture-raised ribeye steaks. It's $400 a pound. It's ridiculous. The best that she could do was McDonald's hamburger patties. So she ate McDonald's hamburger patties every single day of her life for a year. She lost a lot of weight. She lost 300 pounds, 260 pounds or something. Her boils went away. Her skin got better. Her hair started growing properly again, and she was able to fall pregnant. All of this just from cutting out everything except McDonald's hamburger patties. All right. Is it the best quality meat? No, it's not. But it saved her life. It was better than eating what she was eating, which was literally killing her. So you got to just weigh up, what are you trying to achieve here? All right. Buy the cheapest thing you can afford, or the best thing that you can afford, to get to a point where you're healthy. You're able to make better decisions. You're able to get out of your bed and go sponsor 3 more people this month to make a bit more money so you can buy a better quality egg. All right. Do what needs to get done to get to that point where you can start making better food choices in terms of the quality of the food. But you're better off eating a caged up chicken egg and a McDonald's hamburger patty than what you are eating a standard American diet. Guaranteed. 100% guaranteed. Okay. I know I'm going to get a lot of feedback on that and a lot of kickback and pushback, but those are the facts. Those are the facts. The standard American diet is slowly killing us. Slowly killing us. All right. You know what they say? The poison is in the dose. You can give somebody arsenic. It's not going to kill him today, but you keep doing it. A year from now, he's going to die from arsenic poisoning. All right. So the poison is in the dose. Can you eat a slice of bread once a week? Yes. Can you eat 4 slices a day? Yes. But that's going to kill you, because your cholesterol is going to go the wrong way in terms of the particle size. You're going to become a diabetic. You're going to lose a limb because you're not getting circulation. But we have medication for all those things. So don't worry, just keep eating your 14 servings of grain that's on that food pyramid. Because that'll keep you as a diabetic, or it'll keep you overweight, it'll keep you inflamed. But we have a drug for that. Don't worry. All right? That's why I say you are better off eating the cheapest eggs you can find and the cheapest hamburger patty you can find anywhere. You are better off eating that than you are eating the standard American diet. Guaranteed. All right. Well, let me get off my soapbox here.
Yeah, I think that explains the state of affairs that we are in.
100%. 100%. Yeah. And it's planned. As far as I'm concerned, this is all planned.
Yeah, it's by design.
Yeah, that's the way I see it.
Yeah, and it's not God's design. We've left God's design and we've gone man's plan. And
Yeah.
so
Now,
now,
blame it on Ford. They had a better idea.
blame it on Ford. They had a better idea, huh? That's too funny.
Yeah.
All right, Denisha's got a question.
Earlier, but her phone died, and she was asking how to get creatinine levels down. So her grandson has symptoms of like autism, food aversions, he wants to drink milk all the time. And when I was working for the jail and I was staying there overnight when I was on call, I got to the point where every time he had milk, he was like nasally and he couldn't breathe and he was sneezing and he was coughing all night. And I would have to sit up and hold him while we would take turns because he was so miserable. And finally I was like, if you let him have milk tonight, I'm leaving. I'm gonna go sleep at the jail because it was so bad. But I'm sure now that looking back, his body's craving nutrients because he's living off ramen noodles, white bread, and milk. So he got the flu and he had to be hospitalized. The whole family was really sick, but he really was bad, and he's super pale still. And they said his RBCs were low, but she said the biggest thing was to get his creatinine levels to be right, his CK levels. So I'm sure that's creatinine. And she said he was hospitalized, myocystitis, muscle deterioration, and then they were worried about his kidneys because when you have muscle deterioration, it starts affecting the kidneys. But they said they weren't shutting down yet, but they wanted him to be on like Pedialyte and Pediasure.
How old is he?
7 maybe now.
He's got all these issues and he's 7.
Oh, and he's had them for years.
Oh, mercy. Okay. All right.
Levon,
Wait.
Levon, can you just summarize because the volume was a bit low?
Okay, a grandson, age 7, hospitalized, flu symptoms that turned worse, but he's pale, malnourished. He only eats ramen noodles and white bread and Coke sodas and milk, and he has such an allergic reaction to milk. He stays up all night wheezing, but yet they continue to give him milk. So, they're asking how to get his creatine levels down, and what else? How to.
Well, the biggest thing is
He's a muscle. He's got a deterioration of the muscle, kidney issues, and he's 7 years old.
and he just had he shot up
Yikes.
at one time. But the food aversion is the biggest thing. So like tonight, I said, cook some hamburger meat and don't just offer him meat first. So she said he just ate a huge plate of beef cooked in butter.
Okay, Denisha said he just ate, a 7-year-old just ate a plate of cooked meat with butter. Woohoo!
That's what I would suggest for that kid. You know, there was a doctor in the town we lived in. In fact, he lived across the road from us, and back in South Africa. And this doctor was known. He was a pediatrician. He was known, or what's the word I'm looking for? His reputation around town was he would treat the parents before he treated the child.
Oh, that is brilliant.
Yeah, because the parents had lost it upstairs.
Before he treated the child.
Yeah. That child is only eating what gets put in front of him. Okay. I'm talking young kids, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. They don't go grocery shopping. They don't buy the food that's in the house. It's the parents or the responsible adult, whatever it might be, the grandparents, the cousin, uncle, aunts, who knows. So that kid is only eating what he has available to him.
Well,
So
he, once you've got an acquired diet, you won't want to eat anything else. So like cereal and milk, and I was like, no more cereal. Don't even have it in the house. Don't even have it for an option. And she's like, well, what do we do for breakfast? I said, eggs.
yeah, and here's the thing. A lot of people are uninformed and misinformed. All right. Misinformed in terms of you watch the TV, the ads on TV, that sort of stuff, the advertising, all these breakfast cereals. You walk down any grocery store, there's 4 million different cereals to choose from. And they've all got cute little cartoon characters on them, and blah, it looks like fun and games. All right. And so people don't know that I don't have to give my kid Fruit Loops for breakfast. I can give him bacon and eggs. They don't know that. They think bacon and eggs is something that you have on Sunday morning only before you go to church. Or if you're going to go camping, that's what you have for breakfast. All right. Other than that, I mean, my kids went to school, to swimming one day, and it was in the evening. And my daughter didn't feel good, or I don't know what she wanted. She wanted to leave earlier. I don't know how the conversation came up, but her and the coach started chatting and blah, 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 blah. And the conversation of dinner came up. And he said, what did you have for dinner last night? And she said, I had bacon and eggs. He said, you mean you had breakfast for dinner? It's like, hello? Just because it's bacon and eggs doesn't mean it's just a one-time deal with a breakfast when you're camping. You can eat bacon and eggs any time of the day or night. I don't care. 6 times a week, have it for breakfast and dinner. I don't care. There's nutrients in these food. We want the nutrients. My son will eat the same food every single day of his life, 3 times a day. He does not care. He does a minimum 12 eggs a day, minimum, nothing less, plus 2 shakes with plain yogurt in it to get extra protein. He gets 56 grams of protein out of his shakes.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, he modifies that protein shake. He gets 56 grams of protein just from a shake, which he has after he's just sat down and had 12 scrambled eggs and about half a pound of ground beef. The man eats to fuel his body. He's not eating because he feels like, oh, this is going to be delicious. He makes it delicious, but he eats it because he knows he's got to get it in. Now, he's working out in the gym. That's why he eats so much, because he's trying to grow those extra muscle cells or whatever. But a lot of people just don't understand that breakfast cereal comes from a guy who was in a cult, Dr. Kellogg's. He started a cult, the vegan cult. And you got to eat these grains for breakfast. All that other stuff is making you defile yourself. That's the family showed us. I don't want to say what he said, but go research Dr. Kellogg. It's ridiculous. We do not need to be eating grains first thing in the morning. We do not need to be eating oats. Oats is for the horses. You are not a horse. Do not be eating oats. All right? Don't be eating toast. Don't be eating any sort of breakfast cereal. You don't need it. All right? Eat the eggs. Fry up a piece of steak for breakfast. Goodness, what's wrong with that? Only takes you 8 minutes in a pan, 4 minutes on each side, and you're good to go. All right? Just eat protein for breakfast, not Captain Crunch and all these other stupid things that are on the market. That's what's destroying us. And that little kid, that 7-year-old, he needs to be on beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. B, 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 and E. That's it. If he wants to live past the age of 8, I would suggest that he eats just that. If you're 7 years old and your kidneys are shutting down, that to me is child endangerment, child abuse. That parent or guardian, whatever, needs to get locked up. That's my take on it. Anyways.
Severe case of something there. Because it's gross negligence and ignorance to have a child with that level of malnutrition.
And it's crazy because she's taken him to the doctor for guidance and help because she's desperate, but the doctors aren't gonna teach you this.
Because the doctor knows zero about nutrition.
Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah.
It's like I was on the phone with a lady today and she said, okay, she went to the doctor for this issue and the doctor told her something. You have this, so we're going to put you on this med, and this med. And she goes, you know what? I don't think you are, because I don't think I have this. And the doctor says, yes, you do. Or you walk out of here, you're going to stroke out, you're going to this, blood pressure issues and this and that and this and that. Long story short, she conceded and got on one of the meds. and started having constant headaches. And when she went back to the doctor and she said, I'm having all these headaches from this med you gave me, he goes, no problem. Here's another prescription for the headaches. And so she is like, no, I don't think so. She actually went to another doctor that properly diagnosed her. And then, she's looking for alternative things to do now that she's gotten a proper diagnosis. But there is no offer for nutrition other than maybe an older doctor that had some common sense left before they were indoctrinated into the pharmaceutical doctorship. Anyhow, I hope that doesn't be, get me taken down because it's the truth. But
you know what, Levon, there's nobody in America should be malnourished. Okay, we have enough food here. There might be a lot of junk out there, but two reasons why there shouldn't be any malnourished children in this country. We have enough food, so it's like people are starving. Okay, and secondly, we have information at our fingertips. If you see your child is battling and 3 doctors aren't able to help, then you start researching. You go online and you start looking for things that can help that child, that family member. There's no reason why anybody in this country should be malnourished. None whatsoever. Now, are they? Well, yeah, if they're eating the wrong diet, yes. But again, it's all education. That's what we've been taught. But nobody should be malnourished. We have plenty access to things like eggs and butter and cream and cheese and meats and chicken, fish, stuff that God made for us.
Yeah.
All right. Not stuff that Kellogg's made for us.
you
So-
mean killer logs?
Yeah. Yeah.
Killer Crunch.
So yeah.
Instead of Captain Crunch, it's Killer Crunch.
Yeah, and it's scary. It really is. I mean, you got kids that are 10 years old that have got non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Like, what the heck? It's orange juice for breakfast with Pop-Tarts, and you go to school and you're getting corn dogs. Government approved nutritious meal with your juice box, and a little bit of Jello afterwards because you've got to have dessert. Come on now. Go home to pizza, ramen noodles, takeout food. It's just most of the stuff is just carbohydrate. So I'm not surprised people are getting fatty liver disease. So, I mean, you
Yeah.
can give your kid a beer at breakfast time instead of orange juice. It does the same damage to the liver. Exactly the same. Causes the same problems.
Deborah,
Yeah.
you have a question?
No, I just wanted to say, it's funny that this whole creatine subject came up the other day with, somebody that was wanting to know, because I heard it from somebody to take a supplement, a creatine supplement, so I had reached out to, Louis as well, and he said that, our body makes it, and, if you want it to make more, you just increase the Pro Vitality, and also the sports nutrition take. He said, was to just take more, like you're sharing about, Tony, just take more protein and more carotenoids and things like that, that's in the Pro Vitality. Because, because people were concerned, because they reached out about, do they need to take a creatine supplement, And so I asked that question because I didn't know, we have such amazing resources. We have Tony and Levon and Louis and groups and stuff where we can ask those questions, And so as we were sitting here talking, I also went in there and looked, so I got a lot of really great information from web, whatever, and then just Googling that you are really good resources too, to back up whatever you're telling people. you know, that it's in black and white, so they can verify that what you're saying is actually fact and not, just something that we believe. I thank you for all your thorough research, Tony. You're amazing.
That was also.
You know what? I like to learn this stuff because, you know, we're trying to stay as healthy as we can, like Levon says, in a toxic world. And the thing is, it doesn't take much. That's the thing. It doesn't take a lot. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out what's killing me and what's not. All right. As I say, I tell people, keep a food journal, write down everything you eat. And if you see you're picking up weight over the course of a year, yeah, well, what did I eat? Let's have a look here. Maybe I should try something different. You know, I'm not saying you need to go from one extreme to the other, but let me try something different. Yvette's dad loved his Coke. He would drink 2 liters of Coke a day. And he'd get to a point, he's like, oh, no way, I gotta stop. You know, I'm too fat, my belt doesn't fit, my pants don't fit. So he'd stop drinking it. His weight would come all the way down. So he knew that was the problem. All right. Experience, you know, trial and error. But people today, like, oh no, I can't think for myself. Somebody else has to think for me. You know, it's like, And what really bugs me is the kind of food that's on the SNAP program and the food, what do you call it? Food stamp program.
Rick.
WIC and SNAP, yeah, the baby one. Women, infant, and children. That's scary. It's scary. You know, if you're on a food stamps, that you shouldn't be able to buy Coca-Cola and Sprite. I'm sorry. Those aren't staples that are going to keep you alive.
Or
All
cereal.
right.
I think they just recently changed that. I think they're.
Yeah, I probably did. Yeah, with all what's his name?
Robert.
Robert Kennedy.
RFK. Yeah. So I remember listening to an old Amway tape years ago, and there's guys in the checkout line. He says the guy in front of him is loading out all this stuff. He's got like 5 or 6 ribeye steaks, got a pack of beers coming in there, you know, 4 bags of ice. You can see this guy's entertaining tonight. You know, he's got a party going on. And next thing he whips out his food stamp to pay for it. So this guy's like, what the heck? And he taps the guy on the shoulder. He says, excuse me, sir, where do you live? He says, what do you mean, where do I live? He says, I want to know where you live. He says, I helped you buy that. I'm going to help you eat it. Yeah. I'm not saying don't give people, you know, a few pleasures in life, but listen, if I'm paying for everybody's food, then they better be buying stuff that's going to feed them and not kill them.
Well, I was at Publix today, picking up some chicken, because I made chicken soup.
Yum, yum.
And the lady in front of me had a huge cart full of stuff. And it was interesting because she brought her own bags because she cares about the planet. But everything she was putting in the bags was cereal and wine and alcohol and chips and packaged foods. And it was probably 10 bags. It loaded the top and the bottom of the cart. And I thought, well, that's a mixed bag. That's the problem with America. We're a bunch of mixed bags. Oh my goodness. But she
Yeah.
the fact she brought her own bags and that she's doing her part to not pollute the planet and not use plastics. It was so funny because it took forever to bag up all that wine, all those boxes of cereal, all those bags of chips and cookies, and all of her packaged foods that she had. I was like, are you kidding me?
You know, Levon, it takes everything I have to hold me back from saying something when I'm shopping. All right. I look at people that are seriously overweight. Seriously overweight. All right. Where they just kind of waddle along because they can't move properly. And you look in their shopping cart and it's all this crap. And I'm like, I just want to go over there and just pull the guy aside, slap him upside the head and say, listen, let's reevaluate what you have in your shopping cart here. All right. So, and it's tough. It's tough. You know, I'm not judging these people. I see the way they are and I see what's in their shopping cart, and you can put two and two together. All right. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. So, you know, in that person's case, there's, I don't know, one of two situations. Either they are totally clueless as to their health condition, totally clueless, or they really don't care about their health condition.
And there's a lot of them that just have mental blockages. I have a neighbor who rides around, he's diabetic, he can't walk. He rides around on his motorized scooter and he rides to the Publix at least 3 or 4 times a day. So I've run into him in the Publix and he'll be at the bakery counter getting his free cookie. And he is an adult, way into his 60s or 70s. And he'll laugh and he'll say, my girlfriend says I shouldn't do this because I'm diabetic, but one little cookie ain't gonna hurt. He does it several times a day. So the guy behind the counter just kind of laughs and grins and hands him his cookie.
Right.
Yeah.
That reminds me, you know, Levon, when I was first introduced to Neolife and I learned that the products I was buying was trash. And I went home and I emptied out all my cupboards, everything. I bagged everything up and I took it back to where I shop, and that is Publix. And I went to the customer service counter and I said, I want to return these products because I was uneducated and I didn't know what I was buying was killing me and not helping me. And of course, I had to call the manager over there, and the manager said, well, if she wants to bring them back, you know, we can't say no, it's their customer service policy. You know, and I said, well, I'm sorry. And the manager actually apologized to me. I said, well, you know, I've learned differently. He said, well, we have to not just provide products for you and your thinking, but we have to provide them for everybody and their thinking. You know, so like all that trash, they have to make it available for people. And, you know, they did take back all those groceries, all but about 3 things that were expired. And it was over $200 worth of groceries I returned that day. And I said, you know, I said, don't be concerned. You know, I'm a dedicated shopper with Publix, and I went back in there and I spent the money that, you know, they gave me back in buying properly in the perimeter, you know, of good meats and vegetables and things like that, and not the processed foods and the things that were going to kill me. So,
well, that's good. That's good.
And then Deborah, you turned around and have done it for other people. See, Sean Boone,
yep.
we did that for Sean Boone.
Yeah, we went over to Sean Boone's and he had like king size, cause he's a king, you know. He had king size boxes of cereal across the top of his fridge.
Giant boxes of cereal.
And Levon, we said, are you okay? Are you all right, really okay with what we're about to do? And he said, yes, I want a health transformation. And we threw out all that stuff.
We took it back.
Yeah.
We bagged it all up and took it back to the store.
Yeah, and we got him good stuff.
And we bought him good stuff and brought it back to him. And the grin on his face was, just priceless.
Awesome.
So important, you know,
Awesome.
to know people that they don't have to like literally throw it in the garbage can. If it's not used, they can take it back and, you know, exchange it for something healthy.
Well, all this talk of food has made me hungry, so I'm going to head out and go have some dinner.
You're awesome. Hold on a second. Let me